welcome back to Tammy's Timeless Tips. Recently I bought these curtains from Dunelm. They are blackout curtains, really good quality, thick ones, to keep the heat in and to keep the hot out in the summer. They'll do brilliantly. Originally I had some curtains up here that, although I'd had for some time and still look great on camera, they were very washed and worn and quite dull looking. So I wanted something to brighten up the place. I thought that was a bargain, so I decided to do that. It actually came, they're blackout curtains, they came with a pelmet at the top. And the pelmet at the top wouldn't sit correctly over the curtain pole. So we decided that we would cut that off. I created a blind, one of these, for every window in my house to keep out the sun in the height of summer a few years ago. And it also retains the heat in the winter. There's just I just bought two 90 by 90 blackout curtains from somebody on Facebook for I think £15 for the two. And I measured every window, cut it out, and just did a very easy seam around the edges, leaving a loop at the top so I could put a net rod in the top of each one. And they've done me brilliantly. Although this doesn't look too bad against these curtains, it would be nice to use the other material to make a matching curtain for this window. I'm a novice sewer. My auntie gave me a few tips. Apart from that, I'm completely self-taught, just wouldn't give in and just wanted to learn how to do basic stitches, which helped me a lot. And I've managed to take up my nets and all sorts of things just with a straight line. Not perfect, but I can get by. Just saves me having to pay for somebody else to do those things for me. I've made one cushion before now that I've needed just to make a third one for my bed, etc. So I get by. This is the material that I've cut, the pelmet material that we've cut off. So the idea is that I'm going to measure against the other one. I'm going to measure across, and I'm going to be joining the pieces together to make a blind like that I can then fold and pin up in the daytime, and I can pull it down, and it's going to match wonderfully, I hope, with this. It's not going to be the neatest, but it's going to be practical, it's going to be free, and it's going to do the job. So hopefully I can pull this off. I'll take you with me. It's just me trying to get by, to not spend any money that we don't need to spend, and trying to use up material that, if I wasn't doing this, would have just been binned. That's what this channel is all about, just making do, mending, and being happy with what we have. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so this is my sewing machine. It's just a Singer Simple 3223. Somebody was selling this brand new in the box. They'd never even opened it. And I got it for £70. I think I've had this for about 3 years now, something like that. I'm going to have to change the thread on here because obviously black is no good for sewing this, because it would be shown. See if I've got anything already in here that would match. Gutermann is one of the best ones that I've found to use. Gutermann thread. So when I buy thread, I tend to use that. This one probably is the best. As you can see, it's probably the best match for this than the white, because the white will show up more. So I'm going to use this one today. If you know about sewing, then that's fantastic. If you don't, I've learned that you need to change the bobbin inside as well to match, because it picks up the thread from the bottom and the top. So I'm going to have to change the thread on this as well. Now, ideally, you would use the same thread underneath as you're using on the top. But as I say, I'm going to keep things simple. And I'm going to use this for the bottom and the other one for the top, because it's very, very similar. As I'm getting older, I try and keep things as simple as possible. I don't want extra pressure, I don't want extra stress. I'm an overthinker anyway. So yeah, just do the best I can do with the tools that I have and keep it as simple as I can. So the first thing I need to do is find out whether this material is actually going to be enough for the window. I'm hoping I should be able to just cut them in half, like so, and I should be able to have 4 of them. I'm going to check, make sure that that's the case. The easiest way for me to do that is to literally check it against this one here. So all I'm going to do is have a look here. And you can see that that will be enough because there's overhang as well. Now I just need to make sure that the length of this can be done in 4. So if I do this, that's 1. Get my finger and put that there. 4, just. It's going to be just enough. Do you know what? If it doesn't go right, my mentality at the moment is I haven't lost anything because it's not cost me anything. It just is material that I would throw away. If it goes wrong, I'll buy a cheap one that will do the job just as well. So let's have a go. So all I'm going to do is fold that exactly in half, and then I'm just going to go straight down there, and I'm going to cut with my shears. Now, these are zigzag shears, and the reason why we use these, just in case you're not a sewer, it stops the fray. It helps prevent the fray, and that's why we use them. So I'm just going to, again, put those two together, lay that down flat. Just checking my mic's still on, because the amount of times that I've been recording and all of a sudden my mic stops working. It's so frustrating. I've got a new mic coming because my other one, it makes so many noises. But again, we're just winging it. We're trying to do the best we can with the equipment that we have. You can see there that I have a little bit of Velcro on there, and I've probably got one on the other one, have I? Yes, I've got another one on there as well. They will need to be picked off, and I'll be using my little pinking shear to get that off, but we won't worry about that just now, but we'll do that afterwards. All I am going to do for the moment is I'm going to join the seams together. So I'm going to just put the 2 knee ends together because that will save me worrying about sewing it later. Let's lay it out in the way I want it to look. So that can be the bottom because there's already a knee edge, if you see my meaning. So yeah, so all we're doing basically is we are joining 2 bits together and 2 bits together. So that's what we're going to do. So how I'm going to do that, I'm going to put the outside pieces on the outside. I've got to keep this as straight as possible. So I'm going to join those together, and I'm going to have to pin now. I'm going to have to pin this. So I'm going to pin the top end first. So I'm going to put these large pins just to keep this together as best I can. I'm going to put that one at the end there. And then I'm going to use the smaller pins for when I'm actually sewing the other side. Right, so that's that bit done. I'm going to make sure that I go further in as well, just to make sure I've got plenty of sewing space. So as you can see, I'm leaving a good distance as I'm going down, just to be sure. I've always found pinning quite difficult to get everything straight and together. But the pinning is really important because when you're actually sewing, you need a guide, and it just gives me that guide that I need. I used to go very close to the edge with my pins, but then they get in the way of the sewing machine, and it's a bit of a pain. I'm going to get the other 2 and do the same again. I'm going to go as close to the edge as I can, but it's going to be about a nail width. So hopefully this works. Let's give it a go. I've got to go backwards. Press the button down to go backwards. And then forwards. So let's give this a go. I'm going to take my time. Now I won't know for a moment if it's working. Once I can get to have a look, which is about now, I can make sure that they're actually sticking together. And they are, so it's all okay. And my bobbin's incorrectly, so I can continue now. The amount of pressure that you put on your foot obviously will make a difference. So it depends how much pressure you want to put on. I've got mine on a very, very small stitch, I've noticed. I think it'll be okay. You can do it bigger stitches. Right, I don't want to get stuck here, so I'm just going to be... We'll be careful here, make sure that it's a straight line. I'm going to keep it taut so it doesn't get all bunged up there, bunged under there. I think because I've gone for such a small stitch, I'm really not sure what stitch it was that I used. Let's go up a bit with my stitch number. That's better. It's taken off the tautness. It's pulling the material too much, so again I've just turned it from 1 to 2, so it looks as though the stitches have just got a little bit bigger and it's just helping me. This is what I mean, I just wing it. I just literally wing everything just to, as long as it does the job, I'm happy. All I'm doing is making sure that it is on the material. Right, we've reached the edge, so I need to push that button down to go backwards just to seal it. There we go, and then we lift that up so that it doesn't pull. Get rid of that, and then I can cut that and I can check it. So as you can see, it's not a perfect line, but that's not bad, is it? It's a little bit, but the point is that when you open it, it's going to be a flat area. So that's that one done. I'm just going to make sure that it's actually sealed all the way along, just in case the material hasn't, in case the thread didn't go through. That's that. Now I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to do the next one. And that's not a bad job, is it? Right, so what we need to do now is we need to pull out the small pins. In fact, we can pull out all the pins now, so I should probably just do that now, because then we need to pin the two pieces together and do the same again to join them up. So this is the first one. And we need to do the second one, the original one. Okay, let's open this one. There we go. So we got two pieces. So what we need to do now is we need to join all of these together to give us the length. That one's got the two Velcro bits on, so I'm going to leave, I've got to take those off. So I'm going to use this one for the top because it's got no Velcro on it. Again, I'm going to make sure that all the knee edges are together, so it saves me having to sew one side. So it's got to be like that, basically. So that's the top edge, which I've got to fold over for my rod. I'm linking these two together. So all I'm going to do is the same again. I need to make sure these are upside down because it's easier. So I need to put that one together and that one together. And I need to pin this now, ready for sewing. So I'm going to use my small pins this time. I've already got the perfect sewn line at the top there. Right. That's all ready. All apart there. Put that down so it's secure. And let's see if this works. So as you can see, we're looking for a secure join, which it has. Probably far farther in than I'd have liked, because obviously I don't want to lose any of the length, but that's fine. So all I'm doing now is I'm taking the pins out, because we don't need those now. But it does mean I've lost a little bit of the length, unfortunately, but it was just, these edges are so thick that I didn't want to risk breaking my needle but getting any closer, actually going into this. Somebody else, obviously, if you've got experience, then you will, but for me, I didn't want to risk it. Where are we? Right, so that's all sewn together. So, moment of truth. There we go. I'm just going to do the same as before and make sure that there's no light coming in. That's a nice clear edge, that's fine. So what I need to do is I'm going to need to be able to fold this over like that and secure it. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of this bulk, because this bulk in the centre here I don't need. So I'm going to cut off these two large thick bits because they're just going to get in my way for now. Perhaps I should have done that before I sewed, but like I say, sometimes this is where I learn the hard way, because it might have been better for me to cut these two little bits off, knowing if I'd have realised that it was going to be difficult for me to sew it right to the edge. The idea was I was hoping to right to the edge, but it didn't work. So this is how I learn the hard way, as I say, and then I learn not to do it again. Or I learn for the next time, I'll know that and I'll remember. This is how I've self-taught myself to do most things. Trial and error. Mostly error. Which is okay, because we're human and that's just how it is. Just got to be careful not to get too close to my sewing area. That's it. I need to turn it over, and I need to do the same with the other side without going too near what I've already sewed. So let me just check now, make sure that I still haven't got any light coming through. No, and what that's done is, you see, that's made it easier for me to move about. It's made it easier for me to fold over to cut. So that's what I'm going to do next. And that's what I mean about I just learn as I go. Because they were going to be a real issue for me to fold over to actually do anything without losing too much. So I'm going to need to pin, and I'm going to need to sew in a straight line. Now I'm going to sew that long edge. I'm into the join now, so I need to just make sure that this is going to be okay. Flatten that down just for a second. Hopefully that's worked. Just checking to make sure it's actually worked. Yeah, that's stuck fast. That's good. So I'm going to take these pins out. So that's that edge. Now you can see that is not perfect, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be. Now my husband's home and we were talking about how I could do this. That's what I was going to do. I was just going to fold it over by about 1 centimetre, and then my net rod would have gone in there, but it means that it's just a little bit short of the door window. Other than use a different colour material, which I didn't want to do, the only other material that I have is these two bits here. If we were to cut one of these, only just do one of these, and cut that in half, When we've cut that in half and we fold that over, that gives us a lip there and a lip that side to put the rod through, which means that it won't be too long so the light won't come in at the top of the door, but it will be just that width, just wide enough to actually make it fit, and it'll look neater, and you'll just see the nib rod between the two. So that is how we're going to go. Keep that together, keep the edges together, and then I'm going to get my scissors and I'm just going to cut that down the centre like that. Okay, I want that part, the neat part, to be showing on the curtain top. So I've got the right end because, yeah, the Velcro's on that end. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, is I'm going to attach that to that so that when we fold it over, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually sew one line first, then do the other, because otherwise it's going to be too complicated for me. So I'm going to pin that to that. I'm just going to make sure that the thick line is meeting the thick line, if that makes sense. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping it's going to work. I mean, there's no guarantees on anything that I do, but we'll give it a go. So that's my pinning done. Obviously, you probably got a better way of doing this than me. And then you see that's what it's going to look like once it's done. Right, now you can see that's a nice neat line on there. So I'm going to take these off because I don't need this anymore at the moment. Oh, you know what? I should have folded that line first, but like I say, I'm not going to worry about it now. Yeah, I should have folded that really. I'm going to have to get my straight scissors on that. This is what happens, and this is again how I learned the hard way. So straighten that up best I can there. Like I say, not perfect, but it looks better than the zigzag. Then I've got to sew that on there. And there you have it, one loop. That'll do nicely. And then I've got to do the same for this side. Cut this flat. Just get rid of those zigzags. Okay, and then we're doing the same again. We're making sure that this neat part is on the front. Okay. Make sure that's level. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I've learnt to relax a little bit about that. If it gets the job done and saves me money, that's a price I'm willing to pay. And as long as it looks nice from, you know, from where it needs to look nice, I'm not hugely worried about the other side. I know a lot of people disagree, but like I say, it's the payoff. You sort of get a bit of a kick out of doing things for yourself and saving that money. You can spend it on things that you really want to spend it on and really enjoy. So yeah, it's a payoff, like I say. Yeah, so that's one side done. And then obviously I just need to do the other side. So I'm going to remove these pins again. Okay, it's not perfect, as you can see. There's a little overlap there, but it won't matter. Like I say, doesn't have to be perfect. Let's put that down so it holds it in place, and we're just going to go for it. Yeah, it's going to come off. That's going to be fine. As you can see that now, look. You see how easy that's coming off now? Right, that's taken that bit off. Put my glasses back on so I can see what I'm doing. And that's one removed. I mean, obviously I've got to reduce this video down by quite a lot, but to be honest, it's literally taken me, because I'm such a novice and I am winging this, it's taken me at least a few hours to do this. The one thing I said I wanted to do today on my day off was to get this blind done. And I do, to try and sort of keep things as stress-free as possible. I only give myself one task a day, apart from obviously the basic housework that I just give a swish to swipe over and things. As I said earlier, I do get overwhelmed. I do overthink, and it's very tiring. In the old days, I used to have a massive list of things I wanted to get done, but it was just too much. So, like I say, I work on one thing a day, and if I get that one thing done, I'm happy. Another reason why I only put a video up once a fortnight, usually, because it's just too much. It takes, on average, about 30 hours just to film and to, well, script, you know, and decide what you're going to be talking about, etc. And editing just takes hours. So, yeah, on average, because I'm new to it, it takes me about 30 hours in total, and I often pull all-nighters just to do the editing on my days off. Right, I'm just going to check now. I'm just going to make sure that all my joins are nice and secure, because I don't want it falling apart on me at any point, and then I've got to worry about getting all the sewing machine out again. Yeah, that's all okay. That should be ready to iron and put straight back up. Okay, so I found my net wire, and I've actually now, that's the back. I've ironed this now. So that's the back, and you can see it looks a bit messy, but it's not too bad looking in the mirror there. And this side looks quite neat. What I have noticed, because I've just checked this out, what I have noticed that I may have been better to not gone quite so far to the edge here, because as you'll see, it's a little bit tight, but you'll see what I mean when I do this. So let's put this up. So I'm going to put my net wire in that one first, and then peel it through there. So facing, obviously, the best side outwards, the best side facing in to me, I mean, you know, into the lounge. So that's the first one up the top there, and you'll see what I mean about this. The wire, I've gone a little bit wider than the previous curtain, which means it's a little bit tight at the top here. So I'm just going to pin that and then straighten that out. You see what I mean? It's just a little bit puckered. And if I'd have left a little gap either side of there, it would have fitted beautifully flush. But it's okay. So that goes behind there. It's not 100% perfect, but it's not far off and totally free. When I want to put this up, what I tend to do is I use white pegs. Let me get a couple actually. So here are my white pegs. This is what I tend to do. So when I'm not using it, my last one, this is what I do around the whole house. As you can see, you'll see the joins, but it won't matter. So I just roll that right up as far as I want to go, usually around there. I'll sort of flatten it out a little bit, and then I pin that side, and I pin that side. And as I say, usually that would have been flush, but that's what I do in the daytime. And I know it's not perfect, but it's not bad. And then when I want it down at night, I just literally let go, and that rolls down, and I just keep these to the side. But I'm really happy with that. And as I say, for the sake of a few hours and a little bit of thought, it's not bad for free. And it matches perfectly, which is unlike a lot of other things that I would have been able to do. I'm actually pretty chuffed with that. What do you think?